Hey everyone, Cajun here. I just want to drop in real fast with a quick update as far as what's gone on for both myself and for Michael Kelley, this week's guest, in the past 2 months since we recorded this episode. I think we originally recorded in early March, either like the 5th or 9th, and the original plan was to have this edited and uploaded and published and all that jazz and plugged and everywhere within about 2 weeks after recording this, so that Michael could get his Kickstarter campaigns, yes, campaigns, 7 at once is what he's wanting to do, all going and getting some publicity built up for it and all that jazz. On my end, major, literally life-changing event happened on March 15th, and it has taken some time to get back into the swing of things, but swinging back normally we are, and I say that not as a royal we referring to the show, but literally my entire household, my extended family, all that jazz. It was a big event. On Michael's end, the Kickstarter plans are delayed, quote, after having spent 40 days in inpatient care, very ill, and in isolation. And Michael did actually share a picture with me of his, pretty much what he's dealing with right now, which you'll get more information about what he's dealing with currently later in the episode, but very much a Bubble Boy style setup, at least temporarily, for parts of his day, where he's pretty much in a plastic isolation area. And again, like, he's not even allowed to have a Game Boy, which, as much as it sucks, is for safety reasons. But for anyone that's wanting to stay update with Michael, which everyone should, he's got some awesome content already existing and on the way. He's very prolific with his blog, and he's been keeping his blog for his tech and stuff like that up to date for years. Check out his website, nickelcitypixels.com. Follow him on Twitter Follow him on Twitter at nickelcitypixel. Just one word, pixel, not S. You'll get that later, and you can see it in the description. At any rate, stay tuned with him for word on his campaigns, because they are still in plans to just temporarily on hold until he can get a little bit more stable situation going on for him. So, without further ado, the episode. Hey everybody, welcome to Interview episode 13. This is your host Cajun, and this week we have a man on a suicide mission, Mr. Michael Kelley.
Hi.
That is one of the most intense hellos I've ever heard on this show.
Pretty grim though. Suicide mission? I hope not.
Well, dude, you're launching 7 Kickstarters
Simultaneously.
Yes. And not like as a professional PR guy managing different companies. This is all for you.
Yeah, I see where the description is perhaps more apt now.
I mean, I remember talking with Dave and Gordon and Fisher about their campaigns, and just like the amount of time and effort it took for them to do one for Greenlight, you know. And I know this is Kickstarter, not Greenlight, but I can only imagine, you know, of a similar scale.
Yeah, well, in this instance, each of the campaigns is more of a work in progress, and I'm kind of trusting to the audience to understand that and view the campaigns in that context. I'm I don't like the fact that Kickstarter has become essentially this PR vehicle for multi-million-dollar reboots and spiritual successors. I really think it was always.
Mighty number 9.
Sorry.
Sorry. I
No
was
worries.
just poking fun at Mighty number 9. The
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think the promise originally was that it was for works in progress so that you could, help the development of something. Whereas now that kind of inflation is even being felt amongst the indies where they have to have a completed, product to show before they can even really get around to, crowdfunding. It's kind of backwards.
It's less, hey, I have a functioning mechanics of a game. My graphics aren't pretty. They're, my sounds are just basic, beeps and boops. I need some funding so I can hire, the graphics and the audio and stuff like that. And it's like, oh yeah, hey, we're a completed team. We just need to get funding to find a publisher at this point.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I think it's really kind of become, perverted from what its initial promise and intention, and it really has more potential too in helping works in progress, quirky, offbeat, artistic ideas really find their audience, and now it's just become another storefront in many ways.
Yeah, but here's something that I'm wondering because this 7.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong, I like the concepts behind all these, and we'll get to going to these in a little bit more detail.
Sure.
But why run 7 Kickstarter campaigns like this instead of hosting some sort of poll somewhere, something like that?
Yeah, I think it makes for a good hook. It's the best way to get out in front of people and really have them commit to an idea, financially, rather than, just saying that you like something.
Yeah.
It's really more asking people to, put their money where their mouth is in terms of, all right, are you really into this idea, or is
or
this
you just
other
getting a
thing?
thumbs up on Twitter?
Exactly. In particular, I'm thinking of Star Foxy VR, which I think we noted off mic, features a scantily clad female lead. And scantily clad is really the best kind of clad. But it reminds me of, the producers for DOA. Publicly, they received a lot of criticism for their swimsuit DLC. But when the numbers came in, it was a smashing success, and it led the producers to remark that the numbers don't lie. This is what people really want, and so there's kind of an element of that in the Kickstarter, to really see what people want, rather than where there's kind of a lack of commitment with a poll or something.
Yeah, testing with the people that are actually willing to pony up rather than just have something to complain about necessarily.
Right.
But one thing that I'm worried about as far as you doing this is, won't having attention spread across 7 campaigns possibly decrease how much attention each of them would get otherwise?
Yep. No, there is the potential for that, and it is something that keeps me up at night. There is something to be said for picking what I think would be best and committing to it, and developing it all the way through. But I sometimes I'm going this route, and I don't know why. I can't back that up. Right, exactly. I just think it's a neat experiment. I like the experimental aspect of it too. I like that it's kind of rolling the dice and seeing if this new approach can work, and maybe even if it does work, help other people down the road, with that sort of experimental ethos.
Yeah, even if it doesn't necessarily work out for you, there's going to be lessons learned that hopefully someone else can take away and use.
Yeah, exactly. Fail often and fast, or whatever they say.
Exactly.
Or even better, succeed fast and
occasionally.
often. Right. I'm hoping for the latter.
Yeah. Okay, so there's obviously the chance of most of these not making it, or even all of them not making it. What's your contingency in case multiple make it, or all of them make it?
Yes, best case scenario. The issue there then is just really scheduling the time, and you can see it's hard to come up with it's hard enough to come up with a budget for one game, but then to budget for multiple games and to account for if several of them succeed, and then just having enough money to make one, but not having enough money to hire on additional help so that they all are completed in a timely fashion. That's another thing that is kind of a balancing act there.
Which I think there's a potential for kind of some cost savings in that if you have one game that you're working on, and say you hire a team of artists and stuff like that, you get it done, and you don't have to go out and necessarily look again for the next team. You can look through the team you already have and see if any or all of them want to stay and work on the next project.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of, anytime I engineer or anything like that, there's a lot of attempting to kill two birds with one stone. So, for example, with one of the projects, I'll have characters that I want to kind of soft launch and just familiarize people with so that they spin off into something bigger, a larger game, that sort of thing. So, yeah, there's a lot of that too.
Which that's what you're doing with a couple of these.
Mm-hmm.
So what are the rewards for the campaigns? Just, finished copies of whatever projects are completed?
Yeah, most of them are digital. A couple of them rely on physical rewards, books, image targets, that sort of thing. There's an element of gamification to each of them, but some of them are more peripherally related to video gaming than others.
Okay. So there really is more than just you get the game for whichever project or projects are completed. There's other tiers as well.
Yeah, I hope to introduce some physical rewards as well.
Okay. Have you talked to Andrew over at Orange Bison yet?
No, I haven't.
Dude, I will get you in touch with him after the episode.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. We're all about making friends and networking here.
Yeah, that's something that I've really neglected. Just kind of locked away in a basement, typing away, sculpting, coding, and so the social life and even the social professional life just atrophies. I'm amazed right now at my ability to string together cogent sentences and just grunting and flailing. So
I think that we all have those periods, man.
yeah.
But kind of the serious note of the episode is I'll let you explain why exactly you're undertaking this suicide mission, man.
Sure. Can we stop referring to it as a suicide mission, though? Given the circumstances. So
yeah, I probably should. It's coming off much worse than I'm trying.
No,
I'm
I
really
understand.
coming off as a jackass.
No. It's a great and humorous transition. So I was diagnosed with cancer in October. I went into the ER with a bad cough, and right away they were able to diagnose that I had blood cancer, leukemia. Luckily, it's treatable. That's not to say that it's an easy treatment. By the time I'm finished, I'll have spent something like 150 days inpatient and probably around 60 or 90 days outpatient. And it's actually pretty grueling. And at various points, there were certain obstacles which it just didn't look like I'd be able to overcome. Going back to that whole social atrophy, I wasn't able to source caregiving support, which you kind of need during 75 days of the recovery process. Otherwise, they won't even give you the bone marrow transplant. So, in any event, any cancer diagnosis is going to make you kind of reflect on your own mortality and that sort of thing. And I realized, that as I was writing game development books and just working piecemeal on these games and on these projects one at a time, not really getting anywhere, it kind of focuses your attention, makes you realize that time is running out and that you really have to commit to getting something done, getting one of these games done. And rather than spend time on each of them, one at a time, getting them ready for a crowdfunding campaign, only to have, find out that people weren't into this idea or that idea, I decided to run all 7 ideas at once.
Just go full force with all of them and see what happens.
Right. Rather than have me make the mistake of picking the wrong one to kind of work up to completion, which is, really what's needed in crowdfunding these days, typically, have the crowd choose which one I should finish.
For all my listeners that think that I may be being a bit crass and just completely, disrespectful by jokingly referring to all this as a suicide mission, especially in light of Mike's diagnosis. I have a family member, in-law, who just recently cleared his last round of chemo and is on anti-cancer medication for the remainder of his life. My dad, several years ago, dealt with ulcerative colitis, did chemotherapy for quite a while, or at least something of that caliber. I forget exactly right now. So I'm well aware of exactly, how real this is, And,
I didn't mean to. I'm sorry if I made you feel uncomfortable.
No. I understand that you and I are on good terms about this because we've spoken many times.
Yeah.
And I just want to let viewers know that I'm not just being a jerk and stuff.
Right. They should be in on it as well.
What's that?
They should be in on it as well. Like you said, we've been speaking, off mic for a while now.
Yeah, several weeks.
Right.
But no, I do want to get across that I have all due respect and just all that for you, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Being in your shoes, and that's exactly why I want to do this. I want to get you as much success as I can.
I appreciate that very much. Thank you.
I know I say that to every guest, but seriously, I want you. I want you to hit every dream that you can.
Thanks, man.
So, one last note before we go into the detail about the different projects is You're actually a published author as well.
Yep. For what that is worth, which is surprisingly little. You'd be surprised at just how little textbook writers make. But so I previously I was teaching game development at university, and that's a whole nother story in and of itself.
I think we can cover that in postmortem.
Right.
Wow, that just got even darker. Damn.
Right. Back on track though. I was awarded a contract to create a game development book, no code video game development using Unity and Playmaker. And so that published I think in June of last year. And I'm pretty proud of it. I have a accompanying YouTube tutorial series too that I'm hoping to get up on online completely. Right now, I just have section 1.
There was a Udemy course with this, right?
Yeah, and that was doing really well. But then Udemy changed its terms of service, and I just didn't agree with them, so we parted ways.
Yeah, business happens.
Right.
But I do bring that up just because, I want to convey to anyone listening to this, if you're listening just in general, or especially if you're wanting to consider investing in these campaigns, you're not just some random guy that, you're launching. You have, a fairly solid ground to stand on that you can quite possibly do this.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think, I'm hoping to convey that, a sense that I can get this done. With the book, it was, 10 months of not just writing the book, but also developing a game and downloadable materials. And it's essentially a game plus a book, plus the game art and everything that goes along with that. So I feel as if, I can get that done, then, I'm able to reassure anybody pre-ordering any of these games that I'll be able to get any one of these done as well.
All right, so shall we start into the game pitches?
Sure.
All right, so let me do a quick listing of them. We have Chess Tactics RPG, Pilot Things Virtual Reality, Star Foxy VR, which is the one I cannot put a picture of on Twitter.
Check my Twitter though.
Handle that. We have T-Rex Care and Feeding, which is the one I'm most interested in personally. Wall Candy, Dreamcasters Comic Book, and Robot Wranglin Girls of the Post-Apocalypse, which I'm going to be doing a Easter egg for in my own game if I can.
Sounds good.
So I'll let you take it away.
Sure. So Chess Tactics RPG, and the tagline for that is "Mankind's greatest game finally gets a story mode," and it's the title essentially says it all. It's chess, and then there are some tactics in it, and then also RPG elements. So
how
basically,
what are you going to level up on a bishop?
Well, essentially, it's going to be a series of chess puzzles with boss fights being an entire chess game. And so you'll go, you'll work your way through the forest, through the desert, through dungeons, completing these chess puzzles. Most of the level ups will be cosmetic, so you can get, different outfits for your characters or swap out characters, so your rook can be a rock monster, and then you come across an ally, and it's a Strachiosaurus. So you can swap in characters in and out like that. Most of the, like I said, leveling up will be cosmetic, but then additionally, you'll be able to achieve like potions that allow you to take back a move, or allow you to get a hint or save, that sort of thing.
I just keep seeing chess pieces with anime faces for some reason.
I'm sorry?
So I just keep seeing chess pieces with anime faces for some reason.
Yeah. I hope to have those, like what do you call it? The at the bottom when they fight, and you have the profile pictures and then the text.
Oh yeah, the dramatic.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I hope. That's actually the one I'm most interested in, because it comes from a place of deep cynicism. In that all the Kickstarters I've seen, like the very successful ones, all come from, like I said, that reboot or spiritual successor, and so this is essentially that, the spiritual successor of Chess Tactics.
I think this was going to be one of the most popular, honestly, especially within the former show guests. I wouldn't be surprised if someone that's been on the show goes, "Hey, can I send you some artwork for it?"
I would love that.
So, can't guarantee it, but I wouldn't be surprised if it did happen.
Yep, I hope so.
All right, so what about Pilot Things?
I'm most excited about the name of this one, because of course it borrows from Pilot Wings for the SNES, but instead of wings, things. And again, the title kind of says it all. It's Pilot Things. It's essentially a casual fight sim, but in virtual reality, and this is being made for mobile virtual reality. So I'm very excited about just the proliferation of mobile VR so that it's easily accessible to everybody. And the demo I have right now is like a jetpack. So very much like Pilot Wings, you're flying around an island and you're trying to hit specific targets. In this case, kind of like glowing, rotating hoops. I quite enjoy it. I have a blast myself playing it.
This
also
is compatible with Google Cardboard, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I think we discussed that before.
Yeah, and I forgot to mention, but I should not forget to mention that Time Cop 1983 has agreed to do some of the soundtrack, and if you've never heard them before, I highly, highly recommend checking them out.
I am making a note right now to do that. Time Cop 1984?
83, I think.
83.
It's synthwave, and it's essentially, they've perfected like 80s synth music. They're one of my newest favorite bands.
Okay.
I was a fan of theirs before I asked them to, be a part of the soundtrack, and never really thinking that they would say yes. But they did.
Sweet.
Yeah. So that's, I asked them, and then they said yes.
Woohoo!
But it really does, if you think back to Pilot Wings and how they had that kind of elevator music, this even more so fits the mood, and just gives you that nice, relaxed, casual flight sim feeling.
Okay, I have to take it back. This might be the one I'm most looking forward to, is the Pilot Things.
Okay.
Because I feel like I could use that as... Wait, maybe not, because I'm afraid of heights.
It's meditative.
Yes. Hopefully I won't freak out.
They've been using VR in a lot of fear therapy, so I think it might be good for you.
I will definitely try it. I hadn't thought about that way.
Yeah.
So
and to all of our listeners too.
What's that?
And to all of our listeners too, if you're afraid of heights, this will be good for you as well.
Either very good or very bad.
Either or. But you should buy it
our buddy.
And find out. Could go either way.
All right, so we'll move on to Star Foxy?
Sure.
All right, so tell us about that. Let's see, you said more foxy, less furry.
Yep. So we're doing away with the furries, and we're replacing them with, again, scantily clad female characters who are foxy. And so it's essentially... In the
70s sense, of course.
I'm sorry?
I said in the 70s sense, of course.
Right, yeah, exactly. And, yeah.
Are we liable to hear some Jimi Hendrix while playing it?
Unfortunately, I don't think I can get the rights to that.
I want you to blow away the funny on it, just so we can get that licensed.
All right, that'll be like a one of the stretch
super
goals.
Stretch goal.
Yeah. But yeah, with this, I hope that it will play very much like a cross between Star Fox and the Kid Icarus game for the 3DS XL. And ideally, I was hoping to partner with some of the cosplay community. I was hoping some cosplayers might want to star as a character or co-star as a character in Star Foxy VR.
Have you started reaching out to any of them yet?
Yeah.
Any
it hasn't gone well. No. which is weird because I had luck with the previous projects, and this is definitely like above and beyond anything I've done before, that would, be a good vehicle for cosplayers. And, I think it's just an ideal, matchup in the way that Pilot Things and Time Cop 1983 is ideal. But if anybody's listening and has the hookup, let me know.
Dude, I'm going to reach out to D-Pity for you. I want to get him in your game.
Sounds good.
But honestly, I love Star Fox. I've been on I never got to play the SNES. I never had that. I had the Atari. But I've got my Star Fox 64 sitting probably about 15 feet away in my home entertainment center right now. So I want to play this too, man. I keep saying that, but genuinely, these sound truly interesting.
I appreciate that. Yeah, that's the thing too. Right now, there aren't many games out there that I feel compelled to play or that I would want to pick up and play. And, I kind of joke about some of these coming out of a cynical place, but myself too, this is what I want to play. And I hope to be able to.
The Star Fox, by the way, that would be like the Star Fox flying and shooting and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it would be on rails.
Really a step up from the pilot things.
Well, it would be very much in most aspects like a rail shooter, Star Fox in VR, whereas Pilot Things, is more free roaming,
more mechanics, but at the same time less sandboxy.
Right.
Okay. So how sandbox is the T-Rex care?
I'm sorry?
I said, how sandboxy is the T-Rex care and feeding book?
By its very nature, it has to be kind of closed. You don't want a giant T-Rex roaming around, loose like that. So it's it's pretty confined to the image target. So what kind of?
This is life-size augmented reality Rex.
Yeah, exactly. And what kind of inspired this was, I was looking at augmented reality and I was like, that's cool. And I was like, what else is cool? Dinosaurs are cool. And then I put them together and it was real cool. Right. But then the epiphany came when I realized bigger image target means bigger dinosaur. Right? And so I did that and it was awesome.
Mark, I love your logic.
Thanks. It's ironclad.
Truly is.
Yeah. And I took some of the demos to some of the school systems around here to show the kids, and they absolutely lost their minds. They loved it. And
dude, there's a short YouTube video that he has of this, and I do not blame this kid for losing his mind. This kid is only in the. It's not very long. It's only like a minute something long, I think, right?
Right.
And this kid is only in the frame for just a little bit of it, but he's excited. He's so hyped about this.
Yeah. Yeah, it was
I
great.
would be doing the same thing, and I'm 28 years old.
Right. Yeah, it does. The kids lose their mind, and the grown-ups, they become kids again when they see it. It has that effect on people.
It looks like it's Jurassic Park without the blood.
Right. There is the potential for blood. One of the things that separates it from like a Tamagotchi is that, if you don't feed a Tamagotchi, the Tamagotchi dies. In this instance, if you don't feed it, you die. The dinosaur will eat you. It's not going to go without food. It's, it rears up 20 feet tall and it has, 6-inch teeth. It doesn't have to wait around for you to feed it.
Okay. If it's going to eat you, I have to ask, how much of the digestive tract have you modeled?
Not much. It's a quick death.
Yay. A merciful dinosaur.
Yep. That's what it's going to say on the cover of the book. I promise you a quick death.
So with this one, you would get like a care book and all that. I'm guessing either a physical copy if you hit a certain goal, or at least a PDF copy if it succeeds.
Yeah, I'm looking to do physical copies, especially since it's going to necessitate, like a 3 foot by 3 foot image target.
Okay, so that's what it was. That's what the kid had on the ground.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not just like Pokemon where it's projecting it into whatever the camera sees. It's looking for something as a basis for where it's supposed to go.
Right, exactly. Yeah, the Pokemon thing makes me angry.
Well, I've heard that they were at GDC, and one of the programmers commented that they had to do some crazy code work to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, with this, what it's doing is, it's looking at the image target. The image target is essentially a square. If it's at an angle and it appears as a trapezoid, it knows it's looking at it from one angle. If it's a complete square, it knows it's looking at it from top down. And then it's rendering the dinosaur at the same angle. So you can actually walk around the dinosaur and see it from every angle.
And you just updated the model for this, right? You're adding feathers?
Yeah. So in keeping with, I wanted to do something, with the book portion, I wanted it to educate, and I wanted it to be at least scientifically plausible. I didn't want to do movie monster T-Rex. So this is going to portray a feathered T-Rex. I've chosen slender monofilaments, and I have a work in progress up on Sketchfab. I hope to add some, alpha plane type feathers around the borders between the feathers and the scales and on the head and everything, and kind of juice it up a little bit there. But so we're going for, the latest scientific findings in our reconstruction of the T-Rex.
So are you considering doing anything besides the T-Rex, like other carnivores, herbivores, as separate apps or like as DLC of sorts?
Mm-hmm. In one of the videos, you can see that my niece is feeding it another dinosaur. Mm-hmm. So I hope to...
Okay, I hadn't seen that.
Oh, yeah. In addition to the large image target, there's a smaller image target that serves as its food. So that will accompany it. And first, I'm thinking for the stretch goals, doing a whole bunch of other dinosaurs.
The further along the stretch goal, the more additional species you have.
Right. With it culminating with Deinonychus, or one of the velociraptors.
Ooh, nice. So you ready to move to wall candy?
Sure.
All right.
A while ago, I made kind of a crazy purchase. I had this is way back. I imported a Capcom Mini-Cute arcade cabinet from Japan. And I set about restoring it and realized that I would never get it done. Like I had it professionally painted at an automotive place, and the first time around, the first place that I had it done at it was just awful. Second place, they did a great job, but it took them like 6 months to getting around to. And then they wanted to overcharge me what they originally quoted me. It was a nightmare. And, you can imagine that you can't find some of the parts, yada, yada, yada. So I wanted to create an arcade cabinet that saved space, saved money, was easy to build, and wall candy is what I came up with.
So how is it powered?
It is powered with a Raspberry Pi, and it works exceptionally well. It handles just about everything right up until CPS 3. So oddly enough, I've had Street Fighter 3 work on the Raspberry Pi 2 and not as well on the Raspberry Pi 3. So there's some tweaking. I've seen people get it to run really well. But basically, the Pi will run anything up until the year 2000. And, that's pretty much when the arcades died out anyways.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Right. So and I'm looking into making it portable too. So it will mount to the wall in kind of like a puzzle fashion. So it's got a shelf, if you can imagine, and then the shell slides over the shelf, and then the joystick drops into in between both of them and kind of secures both of them in place.
Okay. I think you have a sketch up of this somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, on your blog.
Yep.
Which
so
I will have that in the. I'm gonna have links to all this in the show description.
Cool. Sounds good.
I do want to ask, what? Okay, so I'm assuming that this is just a cabinet. It does not come with any of the ROMs or anything like that, correct?
No.
Okay, so no legal issues there.
Right.
But what separates this from any other Pi arcade cabinet out there?
Well, for me, I've had MAME on just about every PC I've ever had and never really used it. For whatever reason, you really kind of need, at least I do, that physical repository that you walk up and stand in front of and, get the complete experience. So there's that. And the other, Raspberry Pi arcade cabinets I've seen, they're mostly bar tops or they're, complete arcade cabinet. Depending on the woodworking skills of the person putting it together, they're either bad or not so bad. But, you've still got this 2-ton monstrosity monolith looking thing from 2001 in your living room. So this one is a little bit more elegant. It's definitely a lot more space saving. I love it. I play it every day. Very much into perfecting my Marvel superheroes combinations with Wolverine. And when the family comes over to visit, we're always playing Tetris, like the Game Boy version.
Nice.
And it's just it solves the problems I encountered when I wanted to have an arcade cabinet. So it's much smaller footprint, definitely cheaper, and the woodworking skills you need are negligible.
So what screen size is this?
The way it's built, the monitor is completely separate. It's not like a built-in bezel. Some people kind of find fault with that, which I can understand. It's just better to have, the consumer able to choose.
Customization and repair.
Right, exactly. I just want the customer to pick out whatever monitor they want and just have it mount to the wall, and not having to worry about building, particle or MDF around it to box it in.
Mm-hmm. So are you going to be manufacturing these, or are you just sending out the plans, or?
At different reward levels, you'll either get a file for the CNC, or I'm looking at doing physical fulfillment. I know a guy here who created a CNC machine, had it funded through Kickstarter. It's a really good machine, very cheap. That's how I did the prototype. And so it's just a matter of kind of ramping up production.
Okay. So what is this Dreamcasters Duel Comic Book?
Sure. So Dreamcasters Duel was kind of how I got into video gaming or development, in that it was the first mod I created. I created a mod for 2004, and essentially it was a cross between Medal of Honor, Allied Assault, and Street Fighter. I needed a way for the character. I didn't just want them throwing fireballs like in Street Fighter. I wanted a backstory that made it plausible, made it possible. And, I wanted to make basically a whole bunch of crazy things possible. And the only real setting in which it all worked was the dream world. So,
but lucid dreaming.
Right. So the premise of the comic book then is that there's a research institute that wants to kind of draw in lucid dreamers and study them, but really it's a front to use lucid dreamers to manipulate the collective consciousness and kind of direct the collective consciousness, manipulate it, take it down paths that they want that will benefit them.
So by lucid dreaming, they would be getting into other people's unconscious dreams.
Yeah, or just in more of a general way, kind of tapping into the collective conscious and, shifting it slightly, left or right. And, basically it's kind of a metaphor for media manipulation. This would be the next, in a sci-fi world, this would be the next step of, controlling the masses.
Gotcha. So what about the comic book part?
Yeah, it's just, I felt like it was the most natural extension of the game itself. It gets kind of complicated telling the story in the game, and actually creating a full-blown Dreamcasters Duel game at this point would be too difficult, so too ambitious at this point. So I kind of want to soft launch the characters and the story and get people into it first.
So they'll have a comic book to be able to go through and get the backstory pretty much, and then get into the game itself. Yeah,
hopefully down the road, I want to use that as a launching, as promotional materials, essentially.
Okay. Wow, that sounded weird. So, Robot Wranglin Girls of the Post-Apocalypse Coloring Book.
Yeah.
The longest title of all of these, I think.
Yeah. I'm pretty proud of my titles, I gotta say.
Yeah, definitely the longest title. So, I'm guessing this is you'll get a coloring book to go along with the game.
Yeah, well, again, this is one of those where it's kind of soft launching the characters and serving as promotional materials. So it's just the coloring book, but it's going to feature different mechs and different characters from some of the games that I have in development. In particular, I have a game called Yoshimi versus Face Punching Robots. Again, I'm... I don't know. I like my titles. And
like she's like, well, that's the game.
Yep. I like to have everything right there in the title. And one of the characters there is essentially a Beetle bot that, a Volkswagen Beetle that has been chopped into a Baja Beetle, but then also had excavators added as legs.
It looks like if the Empire got a hold of a VW Bug.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like a cross between
miniguns on the side.
Right. It's a cross between that and an ATST.
Yes. And all right, so to recap the 7 different campaigns.
So that will be one of the characters in the coloring book. Right? And rough. In much the same way, I'm going to introduce a couple of others.
Right, so I have Chess Tactics RPG.
I don't know if you've ever seen like the bongo trucks that are kind of popular overseas.
Hopefully, anime faces on some of the chess pieces.
Basically, it's like a pickup
budget
truck
for it is
with in really tens of thousands cab. Roughly.
Okay, so you're pretty much starting from scratch.
And instead of wheels, I've added like tank treads. And then in this case, the
pilot things,
excavator legs,
the casual
or the excavator arms
budget will
are
be
up front, several thousand. It kind of resembles a scorpion.
Star Foxy,
and then in the truck bed, it's going to have a harpoon.
Flying on rails game.
Also several
Dude, I
thousand.
just
The good
wanna
thing
race
there
this
is
around
that
Mario
it's
Kart
kind of
track and tear
doubling
everybody up.
as the work I'm doing for the
Yeah, hopefully
no-code VR
there'll
development
be
book.
enough interest in the coloring book
The
that
idea
that
is
will
that
get
it's going to
done,
be kind of a
people will
reskinning
take to the characters,
of
and
what I'm
then
doing for the book.
I can create exactly that.
Sweet.
Of course, the
Save
other
time and
aspect
energy.
of the robot
The
wrangling
T-Rex
is
Carrot
the
Feeding
girls
Book,
of the
which is both
post-apocalypse.
a
So
AR game
it's
and
going to be again
physical
with
stuff to go
pinups.
with it.
Yeah,
Any
and
idea what
if
budget
you
for
don't
that
see
is?
a picture
That's going
of
to be
the
in
badass
to the
VW
several
bug
tens
on
of
my
thousands
Twitter,
just because
the
of
pinup
the
girl part is
physical
why.
production.
So
Mm-hmm.
I do
necessities.
not that I have anything against any of this, but
With stretch goals
I'm
to
wanting
add in
more
DLC,
kids to be able
like
to
we
listen
said.
to
Yep.
some more of my
Dude,
episodes.
I really hope I
start
can get
following
you
more of my stuff.
some
I
educator
understand.
attention.
Yeah,
on
it's
that
just
one.
not quite
I will reach out to the teachers that I
quote
know.
unquote family friendly. I don't want to
Sounds
make
good.
your parents mad, you know.
We have wall
I get
candy, the
But
strictly the pie powered arcade.
so let's go
cabinet.
through this. We got
Mhm.
Chess Tactics
Each
RPG,
cabinet is going to be
which is a
several
game.
hundreds
Pilot
of dollars,
Things, the
probably around $500 to $600.
casual flight sim.
And then in
Right.
order to
Star Foxy,
get into
the less
economies
very
of
more
scale,
Foxy
the overall budget is going to have to be into the tens of
flying
thousands.
on rails game.
Okay.
Mhm.
But once
T-Rex
you start
Carrot
hitting that
Feeding
scale,
Book,
the price will kind of
which is
maybe come down a little bit.
I can see a lot
Well,
of schools being interested
they're
in that
always going to hover around. Yeah, I hope so.
But
$500 to
do we have
$600,
the
I think.
Just
Wall
because of material
Candy
costs mostly.
arcade
Yeah,
cabinet,
and shipping
Yep.
eats into a lot of it
and we have
too.
two
Oh,
comic
yeah,
books,
yeah.
or excuse
So
me,
you have
a comic
the
book and a
Dreamcasters
coloring
Duel
book,
Comic Book.
which are
Dreamcasters
Dreamcasters
Duel.
Duel
What
and
what's the
Robot
budget on
Wrangler.
that one to make
Yeah.
a comic book?
And that's a coloring book really for
again,
people
because
who
of
are
the
really
physical costs,
detail oriented.
it's
I put a lot
going
of
to be. I mean,
time into the mechanics.
If you
So
ask
you're gonna
any
have
customer
to really sharpen the crayons for
browsing
that one.
Kickstarter, it's
Oh yeah.
They're
it's an
probably gonna
amazing
think
looking
everything's a little too
picture, even
expensive.
in just
Yeah.
But
outlines.
thanks. Yeah, that's going to be into the thousands of dollars, potentially
Mostly-
tens of thousands.
Yeah, mostly manufacturing costs, of course.
Right.
So what do you have a price point for the comic book once you get production started?
For the physical one,
Yes.
probably around $5 a copy.
That's not too bad.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the comic books I was buying a couple of years ago were 3 to 7, so
Yeah. The problem with this is it would be a smaller run. So
yeah.
anytime you have kind of like a small batch, then it has to be, you're
It-
paying, again, you're not getting into the economies of scale.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But still, like, I mean, even at $5, that's still a pretty good price for, a comic book.
Mhm.
And
I'm
then
hoping to
the-
hire a couple of additional artists too.
Oh yeah. And then the robot Wranglin Girls of the post-apocalypse coloring book. That one's gonna be several thousands as well.
Yeah, potentially into the tens of thousands, low tens, just again, physical costs.
Mm-hmm.
Those dead trees don't come cheap. Somebody's got to cut them down. And
So
with
for the-
coloring books, go ahead.
For the two books, is there gonna be a lower goal in case you just do PDF digital versions or EPUBs or whatever format you want,
Yeah, that's
and
not
have the physical as a stretch?
a bad idea. Yeah. The only thing there is, though, I think, if people choose the one tier and then it doesn't maybe an issue. With the coloring book, too, you have to have a higher grade of paper.
Yeah.
So that kind of pushes up the price point.
Yeah, like I said, I'm just wanting to help you get these to succeed as much as I can. So
I appreciate that.
I'm just tossing out ideas.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea to, try to work the physical rewards into a stretch goal.
But I think that about covers it, except for your big success today over on Reddit.
Yeah, you gotta take the victories where you can get them. So I made it to the top of the Raspberry Pi subreddit.
Yeah, and this picture I'm definitely going to link to because it's adorable. It's a little pie case.
That's what I keep hearing.
Let me see if I can. I'll pull them up later because all the mechanical sounds are gonna be messing with the recording if I start typing stuff on my computer.
Yeah, it's adorable to the point where some people are typing in all caps.
They're squeeing over it.
Yep. Oh, that's so. And I'll eliminate some of the cursing here. Gee, I'm dying. I don't save this. OMG. So, what it is I 3D printed a scale model of the BitPhoenix Prodigy cases for use with the Raspberry Pi, and it turned out to be pretty popular.
And it's not just that it looks cool, and it's from the picture it looks really nice quality and everything like that. But the kicker in the picture is you have it sitting on top of its big brothers.
Right.
It's like we have a mini me.
Yeah. I'm kind of proud of the engineering too. I hate the Raspberry Pi cases where you have to like have these tiny screws. So this one is big that sandwich the Pi in between them, and then they slide into the pink part of the case. And
nice.
Yeah, and so there's a little bit of engineering that went into it, and I'm selling the STLs over, which is terribly unhip, but I'm doing it anyways. I'm selling the STLs over on nickelsavetepixels.com, and so far the people of Reddit have been very kind and supportive of that.
I think you have the price set at what, like $5 right now?
Yeah.
Minimal cost to support a great developer who's got some really, really good ideas.
Thank you very much.
That's understating it, honestly, man. That is still my biggest concern is you have like all these that they're great ideas, you know, and I don't know which one I want to support most.
Right.
Being on the limited budget I am.
Yeah. Diffusion of responsibility there, kind of diffusion of, yeah. I hear what you're saying.
It's like if I have $21, I could pitch $3 to all these.
Or go all in on T-Rex care and feeding.
I am torn. I want to do that one because I think my son would have such a kick with it. Yeah. But I think I would enjoy the Pilot Things VR so much.
Well, I'll tell you what, in any event, I will send you the demo of Pilot Things VR once I get it to compile again. There have been a number of, project breaking update bugs with Unity and Android as always. But as soon as I get it to compile, I'll send you one over.
Dude, I've been hearing that left and right actually lately. Like last month in February, I was supposed to have several people come on. Like I was talking with like 6 people, and I think 4 of them were like, "Hey, we just had major breaking issues with Unity and or Android. We're gonna have to hold off." Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping you get those fixed, man.
Yep.
But yeah, everybody can find you over at http://. Let's try that again.
Sure.
Oh, it's 12:30 at night. I've been up since 7:30 this morning.
I understand.
All right, so http://nickelcitypixels.com, NICKEL citypixels. That is your main website. They can get your book there. They can get updates on your blog. There is a blog entry that we could have a half episode conversation about the ethics of buying fake Twitter followers. Just so many things on here. 36 pages of blog posts going back years. You've got some other 3D assets for sale on there. Dude, oh, and your Twitter.
Yep.
That is Nickel City Pixel.
Yeah, I couldn't fit in the extra S there. They cut me off.
Damn you, character limits. And okay, so current date is, now that it's after midnight, Wednesday, March 8th. You're looking to launch your campaigns in about 2 weeks, right? 2.5 weeks. At the
Hopefully,
end of March.
yes. Next week, and I can't believe I'm saying this, it's already, come up that quickly. I'm going in for my BMT. That's the transplant. And depending on how quickly I'm able to recover from that, that will kind of dictate how and when I launch. But I'm shooting for, the last week of March there.
So really well is the last week of March. Moderately well is getting into April a little bit.
Yeah.
Dude, keep me updated.
Absolutely.
So, all right. I think that wraps us up.
Thank you very much for having me on.
Mike, it has been a pleasure talking with you. Seriously, I'm gonna watch everything, and I'm gonna support as much as I can.
Likewise. Thank you very much.
So, all right, guys. As always, this is your host, Kate. If you want to follow the podcast, we are IndieView Pod, or whatever you want to say. IndieView Pod over on Twitter. You can find us on iTunes, IndieView Podcast. And if you want to stay up to date with some of the latest games that are coming out for so many different platforms and news and stuff like that, you can find us over on indiegamelaunchpad.io/podcast. Take it easy, guys, and I'll see y'all later.
Thank you. Bye.